So please join me in welcoming Fred. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, I've done this a few times. Can anybody just give me a quick thumbs up, or if you got your video on, wave your hands in the air like you just don't care if you can hear my voice and see my screen? Awesome, getting a lot of thumbs up. So I've done this and gone on and on only to find out nobody can hear me. So if anything happens with the sound, please let me know. Good afternoon. Super excited to be here. So thank you all for taking your time on a Saturday. And just privileged to be here with you today. So today I'm going to talk about AI for educators and want to make this as practical as possible for you. So let me take a second to introduce myself. So my name is Fred Johnson. And most important thing about me is I'm a husband and a father. That's my wife, Mariana, of almost 11 years now, and our now 6-year-old son, Leo. So that's the most important thing to me. And interestingly, I like to use AI because I think ideally it will give me more time with my family because I can get my other tasks done quicker. So that said, I taught high school and middle school. So my students ranged from age 11 to 20 in the United States for 11 and a half years. 9 years of that I taught computer technology. So my master's degree is in educational technology. My bachelor's is in technical education. And I'm what I call an AI optimist. So there's people out there that think AI is going to be the end of the world and they have their theories. My hope is that AI will help us cure cancer, help us come up with solutions to complex economical issues and poverty and things like that. So I believe the best is to come with AI. That said, before we jump into the how-to, what I want to do first is talk a little bit about misconceptions and mindset, because I think you have to have your mindset right first before you can actually take the appropriate actions. And some of us do come from a background of skepticism around AI. And I think that if you believe that AI is bad, you'll never fully embrace it. You'll always resist it to some extent. And so the first step in really succeeding in AI is to check your beliefs on AI. And so to give you some context for that, I want to take us back a few decades to in the 1970s in the United States, calculators were introduced into math classrooms. And what's interesting about that is that when calculators were introduced, they were extremely controversial, meaning there were a lot of people that said calculators are terrible. Calculators are going to cause all these problems. Students will never learn math. They'll never be able to advance in math. They'll not be smarter. It'll actually make them less smart. But the reality is that now, 50 some years later, calculators are required for most math classes. And the mindset shift is, instead of calculators as cheating, the mindset is calculators actually enable us to do more complex math problems quicker. So as an example, a math problem that may have taken us several hours to solve before, now we can solve it in a matter of minutes or seconds with a machine, and we can move on to more complex math problems. You wouldn't hire an engineer today, you wouldn't hire an accountant if they're not using a calculator. And so what's interesting is a lot of the people that are saying negative things about AI today, they're saying almost the same things that were said about calculators 50 years ago. So I believe that AI enables us to solve more complex problems quicker. We can get the tasks that we can automate or do quicker done with AI, so we can move on to more complex issues. Some other examples, solar power. So even electricity in general, when it first came out, people believed that it was evil. They were skeptical about it. They thought maybe there were demons in the electricity. But now in the US, to have a building or a home, it's required to have electricity. And you look at solar power, how it has just exploded. But at first, people didn't know what it was. Same with cell phones. So with cell phones, there's a lot of skepticism, and there are dangers to cell phones. There are addictions and there are problems that people have, but they also enable us to do good things. and even online banking. How many of you all do your banking online? How great is it to be able to skip a trip to town, a trip to the bank, to be able to access your banking online? And it has opened up banking to more people. So I believe AI is doing these same things, but at a much greater scale. And so this, what is now the most powerful tool in the world, is available to you. So my question for you today is, will you embrace it? And if you're with me today, say, I'll embrace it. Or write in the chat box, I'm going to embrace AI. And if you're not sure, hey, that's all right. Take your time. But don't take too much time, or it'll pass you by. The next point I want to make is that you don't have to be an expert at AI for it to be useful for you. I know a lot of people look at AI like, oh, I could never learn that, or I could never keep up, or it's just too big and too complex for me, right? Has anybody thought that or heard of somebody who said something like that? Here's my take on it. You don't have to be an expert at it. Let me use this bike example. How many of you ride a bike or know how to ride a bike? You don't have to be a professional cyclist. You don't have to be going and competing in bike races for your bike to be useful for you. So maybe you ride a bike to work, or maybe you ride a bike to get from point A to point B. You don't have to be a professional bike rider for it to serve you. It is the exact same thing with AI. You don't have to be an expert at AI. You don't have to make a living using AI for AI to benefit you. And so there are so many ways you just need to learn how to pedal. And I think AI will change a lot of things for you. So keep that analogy in mind. Next, I want to pause for a second and take a look at this picture. And you can feel free to write in the chat box what your answer to this question is. Why is this plane not fulfilling its purpose? And this is an AI generated picture. But take a second to think about it. What's wrong with this airplane besides the fact that it doesn't have a door on the side? Here's my take. Airplanes were built to fly. And when they were created, there was a lot of time and energy put into how they can get off the ground and fly into the air. However, this airplane is flying around a city street. Now, airplanes can drive, right? They have a steering wheel, they have wheels, they have brakes. So airplanes can drive, but that's not what they were meant to do. AI is the same thing. There are a lot of incredible things you can do with AI, and many of us are only using them to answer multiple choice questions. To ask questions like, what's the capital of Nigeria, or what's the capital of England? We're answering simple questions with AI. We're doing 2 + 2 on a calculator when we can be doing some incredible things. So you're now a pilot, so don't settle for just driving your airplane around the city. Learn to fly it. If you're like, hey, this is too much, I just don't know how to use AI, it's okay if you don't know how to use AI. But it's not okay if in 90 days you don't know how to use AI, because you have all of the resources in the world at your fingertips to learn AI today. And so commit to taking these next 90 days to saying, I'm going to learn as much as I can about AI. And I think you'll impress yourself with how much you're able to do that. One cool thing about AI is how unique it is. And to give you another example, if you're a farmer, you can't walk up to an orange tree and say, hey, orange tree, teach me about orange trees. It's not going to respond. If you're an electrician and you walk up to a light bulb and you say, hey, light bulb, tell me how you function, how does it work? Can't do it. But with AI, you can log on to ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot, and you can say, hey, teach me how to use AI. And it is going to teach you step by step. So you don't need to hire a tutor. You don't need to go sign up for some expensive class. You can literally go on the platform and you can ask it to teach you how to use it. And so you have the most powerful learning manual on your cell phone where you can go and you can say, hey, teach me how to use this, and you can give it all your specific context in the world. So that was kind of some mindset around, all right, why AI? But now let's go into some specifics. So how are we going to use AI in the classroom? What does this actually mean for educators in 2026? First, I think you need to give yourself some clarity. So my first question is, are you trying to use AI to teach your students? Or are you trying to teach AI to your students? I think many of us have this broad, I'm just going to use AI, or I'm going to use AI in the classroom. What do you mean by that? Do you want to teach your students to use AI, or are you just trying to use AI to teach your students science or math or something else? So pause and think about that. What is your purpose for using AI? And it's okay if you want to use both. That's great. But in some of your cases, it might just be one of these two. And if you're deciding right now, I would probably start with this first option. I'd probably start here with, are you using AI to teach your students? Because if not all of your students have access to the technology yet, you may not be able to teach them to use it by hands-on yet. So I would start here because this is a good way for you to start learning AI yourself. Fun fact, this is an AI generated image. So let's get practical now. These are the platforms that I use every single day. I use ChatGPT. Copilot is provided by Microsoft, Claude, and then Microsoft Designer. This is great for images. Replit is great for apps, and Grok is from Twitter, or what's now X. So each of these has a free version, so I'm not pointing anybody to use any paid programs at this time. Pretty much all of them have a paid upgrade, but there's a free version to each of these that you can use. Now, again, it's easy to look at this list and think, this is a lot. And so my tip to you, pick one. Don't try and learn and become an expert at all of the AI platforms. They all change every single day. So I'm going to suggest for today that you pick one of these first two. And if you have access to Microsoft products, Copilot's probably a great one for you. If you don't, ChatGPT is great. And another one I didn't list here is Gemini. But you can use any of these for free as a starter. So with that said, I've been talking about this a lot. Let's actually dive in. So I want to go into GPT here. And so I'm going to use that as my example. So I'm going to open up ChatGPT. And I just want to live do a couple of examples. Now, as I'm doing this, I want to let you know that you can use ChatGPT in a browser like this. So you can simply go to chatgpt.com on a computer, but you can also do this on your cell phone. So you can simply open up your phone and using Safari or Chrome or Edge, just go to chatgpt.com with a free account. So I'm going to do a couple of examples that I might use as a teacher. And one of the most important things about AI is having good prompts, what you're putting in. So if you just say, give me a science lesson, it's going to give you something very generic. You need to be really specific. Prompt engineering is a whole long thing to learn. So my best pro tip to get good at making prompts quickly is to have ChatGPT or whatever platform you're using help you with the prompt. So let me give you another example. This is what I'm going to say. Let me zoom in a little bit. Give me a prompt. This is a great way to start. Give me a prompt for a Nigerian teacher teaching high school students a lesson on computer science. Students are 15 to 16 years old. So I'm giving it some context here, and then it is going to give me a prompt. This is not actually giving me the lesson, it's giving me a prompt. So now it's telling you what to put in. Now let's go to the next step. Here's where AI is different from just Googling something. When you Google it, you just get a response. But with ChatGPT or AI, it's a conversation. So now I'm coming in here and it's giving me some really cool like details. And I might now adjust this. So it's saying that my students are sitting at desks, but maybe mine sit at tables, or maybe I don't have laptops. So take this prompt and tweak it. Don't use it exactly as it is, right? And so now what I want to do is, okay, let me take this lesson. Now it's actually giving me an image prompt, which I don't want. So give me a prompt to create a lesson for a Nigerian computer science classroom. A prompt. Again, adjust this for what your classroom needs are. And I'm just going to take this prompt that it gives me. And I can even say, hey, my class is 30 minutes or my class is 45 minutes. And now I'm going to use this prompt, or I'm going to tweak this prompt. And now it is going to give me a classroom ready specific lesson based on my class or my school or my scenario. And here's what's great. If I don't like part of this, I can just say, hey, change the warm-up activity, or remove this or add this. So I can get very, very specific. Don't accept the first answer that it gives you. Learn to tweak it, okay? So now let me give you a couple of other quick examples as we start to wrap up here. Another thing I encourage you to do, I'm a fast typer, so I can type, but I can speak faster than I can type. So use this dictation tool where you can actually talk to it. And I'm going to say this. Please come up with an analogy to help me teach my computer science students compare farming to inputs and outputs in computer science. So now I'm asking it to help me come up with an analogy, and then it is now helping me analogize computer science to farming. So one of my favorite things to do with AI is to take what my students are interested in. Maybe they're into basketball or movies or gaming or shopping. Help me make my lesson apply to what they are interested in. You need to be a student of your students and use AI to use that. Now, let me give another example here. So this was a lesson for me as a teacher to use AI to teach my students. But let's try something else. Can you help me create a prompt to teach me how to use AI as a teacher? And now it's going to give me a prompt to help me teach myself, or for it to teach me how to use AI. So it's saying like this: explain AI in simple, non-technical language, and then it's going to make this specific. Now, if you're not in Nigeria or you're somewhere else, or even put your city, make it the more information it has, the better it's going to come out. And I can now copy this and paste this in, and here's my prompt. I can also come in here and ask it to take what's going on in the news and apply it to what's going on in my classroom. But now it's giving me some really helpful examples that I can use day to day. I'm going to do one last example before I close here, because I know I'm running out of time. Last example I want to do, and again, it's giving me a kind of long answer, so you can ask it to make that shorter. You can also ask it to put it in other languages. There's a lot you can do here. Next thing I want to do, give me a prompt to involve students in a beginner AI project. My students are 17 years old, new to AI, and don't have computer access, but do have cell phones. I'm using an example. You can, again, tweak this. And now it's going to give me a prompt for a project for my 17-year-old students to teach them to use AI. It's telling AI to act as an AI learning guide, and then it's giving them a project, and it's giving some specifics. And if you don't like these specifics, change them. It's your prompt, it's your classroom. So the next thing I would do is copy this and paste it in here. So these are a few concrete examples. I want to give one more that I already did, but I'll just show you. You can also use one of the other platforms I mentioned is Grok. You can simply come in here and say create an image of students doing this, that, or the other, and it will make images for you. So this is a great way to make images specific to your classroom, and just simply type in some descriptions about what your classroom is, and you can get images created for it. So as I close out, a couple things. I just watched a video yesterday or 2 days ago by a gentleman named Anthony O'Neill on YouTube. His podcast is called The Table with AO, and he talked about how AI today is providing skills-based work. And we've often taught our students, you need to go to school for 10 years, 20 years, and then you can provide something valuable to the world. And what he pointed out is that today you can learn something with AI. You can learn automation. You can learn graphic design. You can go on websites like Fiverr or other websites where you can be a freelancer. And students, 16, 17, 18, 20 years old, you yourself as a teacher can go on and on these different websites, and you can get work from around the world creating automations or graphics or whatever it is, and get paid from working from your computer without a degree. So yes, college and degrees are important, but these skills are changing the world today. So highly encourage you to lean in on AI. I'm going to open it up for questions, and let me know if we're going to do questions in the chat, or how you want to do that. But as I kind of close out, just want to say thank you all for your time and for being here. Invite you to subscribe to me on YouTube, to connect with me on LinkedIn. The QR code here gives you all of my different kind of websites and information and where you can connect with me. But if you're an educator out there, if you're a teacher, thanks for doing what you do. Every child and every teacher has dignity and has purpose. You are doing the work, and it's often under-thanked and under-resourced. But a special thank you to who you are and what you do. If there are any questions, we'd love to take a couple minutes to field those, and wish you all the best in your learning and teaching journey.
Okay, thank you so much, Fred. Now the floor is open for questions. So if anyone here has any question for Fred regarding this session, anything related to prompting, if you want to know more about how teacher could use, like ChatGPT more or anything, the floor is open. Yeah, sure.
Henry, I see a question. You can go ahead and unmute, or if you want to write it in the chat, whatever's easier for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Fred. You made me see AI in a different perspective. I never knew you can actually use AI to learn AI. That's very insightful. Very, very insightful.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, okay. My question is, what is the present difference between the Copilot and ChatGPT in terms of quality and delivery? Which of the two do you recommend? Because I use ChatGPT on personal basis, and I use Copilot on an official basis. So of the two, which one do you recommend to focus on?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I actually just asked that question the other day myself because I use both. And here's the best answer I can give you. They are actually pulling from the same source, from OpenAI. So your prompts are going to be handled very similar from both ChatGPT and Copilot. Here's a big difference that I would say. If you use Microsoft products on a regular basis, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you can integrate those in with Copilot. Copilot has a lot more, they both do, but Copilot has a lot of educational integration. And if you're using Outlook for email and Excel for spreadsheets, your Copilot can go in and read directly from those. And the business versions and enterprise versions have a lot more built-in privacy, but those are the paid versions. If you're using the free version for either, you're not going to notice a big difference. If you have a Microsoft account, Copilot's built in, whereas ChatGPT, I've used it. I stick with it more basically because it knows me more because I've been using it for so many years, so it knows the context that I'm asking questions. But they are pulling generally from the same source. So I would just pick one and go with it. And again, if you're using Microsoft a lot, I'd go with Copilot just because it integrates. Great question.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for coming today.
Yeah.
Hello.
Pastor, I can hear you.
Hello. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Fred.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm a very good user of ChatGPT, Copilot, Bing, and the likes of others, just like you rightly mentioned. And you use ChatGPT as an example for us to be able to show us on how to write our lesson notes. I want to ask something that has to do with, because the way you presented, and as a matter of fact, you are a teacher to the core. But in Nigeria, for instance, we are guided with syllabus and scheme of work and likes of other things that we use for our teachings in class. But I come to realize that of recent, when I started using AI, if I look into the record of what we've been using, even traditionally speaking, in our classroom, I realize that we are limited with what has been written and which they want us to use it. Now, I realize that if I now go into asking ChatGPT to be able to give me a prompt, or most time what I do is I don't even give him a prompt, but I'll just give him a kind of like the topic which I want to teach, and both in topic and the subtopic in a certain subject, and I will ask him to help me to be able to create my lesson for me.
Yeah.
But I realize that most times when it gives me, and I want to compare with the one I have, traditionally speaking, I realize that it used to go beyond, even above it. So my question to you now is that will that not be too much, even to be able to give to the pupils or the students, or with the help of the AI, what we are trying to do is that maybe it's helping us conventionally so that we can be on the same page with the rest of the world. That is my question. Thank you.
Yeah, great question, and thanks for engaging today. So the best response I can give you, and I hope this is helpful, is you need to consider the source of where everything's coming from. So ChatGPT, Copilot, all these sources are pulling from lessons and lesson plans and books that have been written all around the world throughout history. But if you look at the populations of the biggest places in the world, China, India, the United States, Canada, is where a lot of this content is coming from. So to get your best content personalized to your classroom, your students, one, every time you go in there, you need to specifically say, this is my context, this is my setting. I work wherever. If you're in Nigeria, you're saying, hey, I've got 20 students in Nigeria. Describe your class and your school, and you can actually take your syllabus. I don't know what you maybe call them there, but in the U.S. we use frameworks or objectives or state standards, and this is what needs to be covered. But we have documents that say 1.1, this is what that is. You can actually upload that document into ChatGPT and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to teach. This is my context. Help me personalize it, and just continue to remind it of your setting, because otherwise you're going to get a lot of influence from where this is coming from. And so, the more specific you are, the more personalized your responses are. So I hope that helps.